Hello. Keep the applause going. We have low self-esteem. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here and not at the Netflix thing.
What's the Netflix thing?
Let's not get into it.
Okay, great. Hello, I was about to say good evening. It's the Edinburgh Fringe. Hello, my name is Rose. Lovely to meet you. And this is Dolly. And to someone just say yes.
Yes.
Yes. That is Dolly. And it's so nice that you guys have showed up here to hear us talk about two of the pieces of work that we have created in the last, year?
Yeah.
2 years?
2 years,
Longer
yeah.
than 2 years, really, when you think about it. But and so we're just going to have a chat, quite a brief chat, I think, because we've got a lot to talk about our projects, and then opening it up for questions at the end. But yes, anyway, how are you? I mean, this whole session is called, When Dolly Met Rose, but we've already met. This is we should have pretended. It feels like one of those Guardian blind date, articles or something.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been nice.
That would
we
be
can
nice.
both do our write-up at the end, where they're always so wildly conflicted.
They're wildly
Yeah.
conflicting.
It's basically always the man being like, there was great chemistry, we got on really well, can't wait to see her again, we nearly had a snog, and it's the woman being like, Craig was nice, but there was no chemistry. Yeah.
They always kiss, though. I love that.
Oh, do they?
A lot of them kiss now.
Yeah, British
post-pandemic.
people. Yeah, British people just get drunk. And
Yeah,
that's what we
exactly.
do. I don't know if you've
polite
learnt
to.
that yet, Rose.
Not yet. Never been kissed. Never been kissed in the UK. Just kidding. I've kissed tons.
Are we watching the trailers first?
We are watching the trailers
Yeah.
because we want to give if anyone, hopefully people in the room have seen the things that we've made. If not, get the fuck out. We are going to show you some trailers, and I don't know whose one we're doing first, but we'll see. Throw to clip. That was Dolly's show. That was the entire show.
That was the show.
That was the entire show. Dolly, can you
Are we now not watching your one?
I think we are.
I think we are.
I
now
mean,
watching Rose.
lights up. React to that. Please play my trailer. Thank you so much. God, I love trailers. Now, I'm just sorry, I was just reminiscing about all of the clothes I stole from the show. After
did
it ran.
you?
Yeah, that's the great thing. They all obviously fit me, and then I just kind of, I shouldn't say that publicly, to be honest, but.
No, I'm glad that you stole some clothes.
Did you
stole
pinch any?
nothing.
Really?
No, I was really angling for something in the girls' house, and I kept hinting. I'm basically as showrunners go,
Yeah.
I'm really not like a whip cracker, because I should have just stormed in one day and been like, this is the piece of the set I'm taking home, everyone.
Yeah.
And instead I'd be like, wow, I'm really going to miss that old sign there. Wow, I wish I had one like that in my house. But no one ever gave it to me.
No one ever gave it to you?
I should have just gone and taken it.
Do something about that.
Anyway, Rose, early
Dolly.
development of the show.
Yes.
And those first conversations with BBC. Rose was BBC comedy, I was BBC drama. Tell me how those went, those first initial conversations.
First initial conversations were, it's quite funny talking about this at the Fringe, because I think it's a real common thing. Obviously, I come from a stand-up background, and often after, I did a 1 hour show, my 3rd hour show here called Horn Dog in 2018. And by that time, though, at the start of 2018 is when I was already working on the script for Starstruck, a pilot script. And the way it worked with us is that we got commissioned for just the script from BBC Comedy early on in that year, 2018, and then did the Fringe. I had a nice Fringe, and then they were like, oh, make it into a television show. So it was very easy, and making TV is just so easy. That's what, if you can take away anything, from today's session, it's just so easy. No, it was a really long process, I think, in terms of, it wasn't straight to commission for all 6 episodes, which was, it kind of was quite nice, because it meant that it was eked out over the year. It was a situation where it was the last sort of pitch idea I had in a list of pitch ideas. I think I've said it in other interviews and stuff, is that I think when you're coming from a place where you come from a stand-up background, you're constantly trying to find ideas to translate to television that will work with the persona that you already kind of work with on stage and in a comedy. I pitched a ton of ideas that just weren't very me, and then finally remembered that I really love rom-coms, and then pitched that. And I think that was very authentic to what I wanted to write and what I think potentially I would be good at writing, because I had such a love for that genre. And so that was kind of how it worked out. When did you start working on, like, when did the process of your show begin?
I'll tell you, but I also want you to know that I would pay £150 in cash today to see that list.
Don't. I don't know. No, oh my God.
My persona as a show ideas. I am desperate.
I will send you the Google Doc of rejected ideas from every television commissioner.
Please.
I will.
Yes.
I'm actually doing a Free Fringe show of that. Pitching all my
that's actually a great idea.
That is a good idea.
So no, mine was really weird because I'd been in like development hell with lots of different ideas for years of just like, you know, in TV land. Of course, everyone in this room knows what it means, like the dreaded one-pager that goes back and forth, and the like treatment that you don't know whether you're paid for, and the like, let's come in for a general. I like to call those non-versations. Where you basically sit around and go, have you watched that show? And the other person goes, no, I haven't. Oh, you've got to watch it. And everyone says that for an hour. And then at the end,
100%.
At the end, you go, well, let's stay in touch and work together. So I've been doing a lot of that.
With comedians, it's always like post-Fringe, always the meetings with TV people. And it's always like, what are your ideas? And you pitch them 3 ideas. And they're like, well, when you have any ideas, come back. And you're like, we really want to work together. And you're like, what did you just listen to? So you had a lot of that.
So I'd been doing a lot of that for years, and I'd had lots of kind of near starts with you know, a document that's probably as embarrassing as yours. Like a friendship is ruptured by Brexit. 2 best friends vote leave and remain. What happens? Like those sorts of ideas. And I was very aware as well, in this like gold rush of TV that we're in, I was very aware that like the concept, the high concept is something that you need now. You know, you can't just pitch like, it's a fun bunch of gals hanging out. So you have to find a way of being like, you know, like yours is amazing. Like you can describe what it is in a sentence. It's hooky. No one's ever done it before. The gender reversal thing is, you know, but no one's done it in your unique way. So I think that was good because it meant when my book, so I just started writing my book. I'd written half of it. I think it'd gone out to submission to publishers. I was like 28. And somehow a scout got hold of it for working title. So I then went in for a meeting with the head of working title. So the book was optioned before I'd finished the book. So
really? The book was optioned? No,
sorry.
Yeah, it was for television.
For TV when I'd only written half of it.
That's wild.
Which is wild. And I kind of had to forget that because I never thought that memoir was going to end up on screen. And I obviously couldn't sit and write the rest of the memoir thinking, Dolly, 25, with a glint in her eye and a camel blue in her hand, sashay down Camden Road. And, you know, I didn't want to start writing it cinematically. I had to write it.
Did you manage to do that?
I did. I just forgot about it. But then, so then we developed it for a couple of years. And then my exec, Syrian, and I took it to the BBC. And I was always very aware that because I was in this privileged position that the book had done well, that was potentially enough of a reason for it to be adapted. And that's, I don't think, a good enough reason. So we had to think of like, what is the concept? Because we can't just rely on like, people liked the book. So our concept was, it's friendship told as a romantic comedy. And then the BBC, we worked with the BBC for a year. They brought in loads of brilliant ideas. They were the first people to suggest flashback, which I think is really important in this story, because as we know through one of our favourite films, When Harry Met Sally, if you want to like show the depth of a relationship, you have to, in a short period of time, span many years, 100%. Which is what Harry and Sally do. It's like 13 years, isn't it, they show. So that was like, the BBC gave these ideas that suddenly just gave a huge new lease of life.
Completely. I mean, but you have to sell such a tight central friendship in your show. I mean, it's a central friendship romance, really. I think it really is an amazing thing. I can't get my head around that idea of you being optioned for the TV show while you're writing the book. That's such a weird thing to have in your mind.
I know.
But I love how you like kind of almost put your own, not limitations, but your expectations on yourself to step it up a bit for the show, in the sense that you could have just easily gone, well, the book was like obviously a massive success. I could just make a direct adaptation or like, but it is that you want to put those creative challenges for yourself so you can make something. And you've just got high standards, Dolly. It turns out. Congratulations. But yeah, no, that's fantastic. And do you, what was it the different process? Because I'm really interested because you've come from you write books.
Yeah.
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
I look forward to reading one day. But what was it like moving from that to script? Because I mean, I've gone straight from writing more stand-up stuff, but I've always worked in a TV background in terms of it's the only kind of thing I've written. I've never written a book or anything like that. Was that a weird shift? Like, did you have to kind of reframe, I don't know. It
is. Do you know what's great about it? Is that I find that the hours never fly as fast working than when I'm just writing dialogue. It's my favourite form of writing. Yeah. So what's amazing is once you've gone from writing books where, someone enters a room and you have to say, Greg entered the room with a footfall. Yeah. He had grey eyes, the colour of the sky after it rained. Yeah. He looked like there were secrets behind his, and it really it's so laborious, whereas you just get to say like, Greg, a bloke with sad eyes wearing Birkenstocks walks into the room. Then you get to just like get to the juice, which is how people communicate with each other. So I actually found it like really freeing, fun. But did you find, because I suppose you've been writing these hour shows, to then go into, like, as you as a performer, to then go into populating a world with characters, how did you find that?
Terrible. No, no. I've always liked writing. I've always had an interest in writing scripts and screenwriting and wanting to make television and film and all that before I did comedy. And so I think it wasn't too hard of a stretch. I think comedy is such a different form of writing. I think it's not even a form of like with an hour show. I personally don't write out a script word for word of what I've done. It's like you write a set list and then you talk about you kind of have to be more. Sometimes you're like a little less precise with it. I think I'm very, very precise with script writing and like writing for Starstruck and that. I think working with people I really trust has been an interesting thing to open it up. Like with stand-up, obviously, it's just something you do by yourself. You collaborate with a lot of people to make the show. But I wrote Starstruck with Alice Sneddon, who I've worked with. So both of the other writers, Alice Sneddon and Nick Sampson, they both come from stand-up backgrounds as well, comedy, improv backgrounds. I don't trust anyone. And so to be able to trust two other people and have a very, very tight relationship with the two other writers in my writer's room was like very important for that. In the sense that we all feel like extensions of each other and I can trust.
I mean, that's amazing. That's like a 1 in a million.
Exactly, because you worked on, because how much of the script, like, did you write all of it?
I co-wrote one episode with a writer called Cherry Shirley, and she kind of ended up being a story consultant across the series and was absolutely invaluable. But I hear you so much with the collaboration thing, because I think there's a similarity with us that when you're writing a book, it's only since I've gone into working in TV do I realise how lonely and on your own you are as an author. How much you're the one who has to sell it, how much that no one really, they kind of edit you at the end and in the middle, but it's really made me realise this like huge pressure that's on a person when they put a book out into the world, whereas there was something that the collaborative thing I worried about, because I am a control freak and a megalomaniac, and I don't like anyone's ideas other than mine.
And rightly so.
And so I was worried about that, but I too found it actually this enormous relief to share the burden with someone and to create that organism of the joint brain. Totally. Is actually just so fun.
Awesome. And it's awesome, and it's awesome to have like someone to challenge you a bit with things, like and have it's having sounding boards. Like, I mean, Alice, who I wrote, just myself and Alice wrote the first series, but to have someone, you write something and then someone go, is that good enough? You go, well, of course it's good enough, but it's to have someone you trust, like, actually push you to make something better, and especially when you're saying populating that world with a bigger, obviously it's beyond just my character in Starstruck, but to lend voices to those people. I mean, honestly, with the nature of Starstruck, often I would almost write the persona of Jessie, and Alice would be Tom. It's a very weird role play
Really?
situation in the writers' room. Yeah, a lot of her voice is in his character, I think, and a lot of mine is obviously in mine.
Yeah.
But it's just two friends flirting with each other on final draft,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, it's kind of quite weird.
Maybe I'll be horny for Alice.
Yeah, you could be. Yeah, yeah.
I do find
Many
Tom
people
very
are.
attractive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So maybe I'm actually just fancy Alice.
What is one of the what were some of the? I don't want to darken the mood. What were some of the difficulties when in like developing this early on?
Okay, so early on actually was all pretty fine.
Yeah.
And brilliant, and we worked out really quickly that we wanted it to be semi-fictional and we wanted to expand the world, and that was all great. I definitely hadn't realised, and I know this is a bit like boo-hoo, but I'm complaining to the right group of people. I didn't realise how much making something was an act of bereavement and heartbreak every day.
Oh, yeah.
When you go from script to screen,
Yeah.
and the gap between that of like what you saw in your head, like, so an example for me that I never I'm very bad at letting things go, Rose, across my life. Like, I harbour great resentment and bitterment.
Yes.
Like, I still bring up.
Stan a bitter queen.
I am the pettiest bitch you've ever met. And like, I've got a folder on my desktop of like, things I was made to delete in the show that I like, refuse to delete.
Wow.
And like the stuff that when I think about like the party scene that I would imagine in my head, and then we get there on the day and I'd be like, where are all the people to the party?
Yeah.
And I didn't understand because I was so new to production. They'd be like, this is top whack budget, bitch. There are 15 people at this party and it's going to be a great party.
And they're changing hats and they're changing tops, all right? We're moving them to the other side of the room. Okay?
And then they're all going to be waking up on the same bus tomorrow when everyone goes to work. Yeah, and that stuff like that, the like extras, music budget, locations, comedy gags that fly to fancies that take a huge amount of setup, montages, all that stuff, that was the enormous heartbreak 100%. For me.
I remember watching when I was quite young, like as a comedy nerd, like watching, I think, an interview with like Mitchell and Webb where like they talked about how like writing is essentially a process of writing the perfect version of what you want and then seeing it chipped away as like, you know, but that's the reality of it. And I think that was a weird thing, I think, because I worked in TV, weirdly, strangely, from quite a young age, like back in New Zealand. And I found that such a, I think, helpful leg up in terms of understanding a production process as a writer and writing a script. And in the back of my mind, the producer element of me is going, I know that's not going to look great. We're not going to have the budget to do that. And I know it's a terrible thing with a writer to like kind of, you know, not dream big, but dreaming realistically and writing a script and going, what's the best way I can get across the crux of what the scene should be or what what needs to be done in a way that I know is going to work with our budget. And I wouldn't recommend it, but I think it's sometimes as starstruck, it was kind of a helpful thing because I know that heartbreak, it's brutal, and especially coming from a background where you're writing a novel, you're writing a book where literally the world's your oyster.
You just imagine abundance and it's there.
100%.
Yeah.
But having knowledge of like how things are, like that's the biggest learning curve I had as well.
Oh, for sure, and it will change the way that I do the next series. And really, I do understand because Syrian, I mean, the first episode of the pilot of Everything I Know About Love was Rolling Stones themed, Rose.
What?
Where I literally thought it'd be like...
Being bankrupted, Jesus
and
Christ.
I had no idea. I didn't know any of this. I didn't know that all the... Like, every sick song you've ever heard, you're never going to be able to use. No hip-hop, no Motown, no jazz, no rock and roll. Like,
no, when I heard you use Rhapsody in Blue in your show, I was like, God damn it. That bitch. I'll never be using that in Starstruck. It's so hard, though.
It's really hard. And now what I know, we work with this amazing music supervisor called Ian Kirk. And what he would do is he knew how important music was to me. So they kind of let me go. And Syrian, her thought process was, which I do understand for a first-time writer, I wouldn't do it next series. She was like, you run wild with your imagination here. You go have fun in the playpen and you work out exactly the tone you want, and then it's our job to like boil that down. So like episode 1, I wanted the big dancing scene to be the best song for dancing in the entire world, which has Got to Give It Up by Marvin Gaye.
Oh my God.
We could not afford that. Instead we had Down with the Trumpets by Rizzle-Kid. It may not...
Not to say it was a downgrade, to say it was a downgrade, it was a different...
Before anyone goes on Twitter, I'm certainly not saying that. But there is weirdly some sort of connective tissue between, like, tonally what that was, but now I think I will write more like you with the next series, that I'll just to avoid...
Lower your expectations, Dolly.
I think...
Come on, think within the... But no,
But I don't think my execs can deal with the strop. I had so many strops, you know, where I just... And it would be nothing more than that thing of, oh, but this is not how I imagined it.
Yeah.
You know? And now I just get that's how TV works. Yeah. But beyond that, beyond the sort of budgetary, boring stuff, tell me about what the biggest challenges were with both or either series.
Challenges. Well, just making television is a challenge in a way. I mean, I think it's hard because I think I love making TV. I've always loved making TV, and I have to say I do love every moment of making the show. And I think the challenges are, I think, maybe wearing a lot of hats in the process.
Yes.
I think being in it. I say this just ahead of now directing the next series with Alice, and I'm like, why am I adding another hat? But being in it, writing it, there's no part of the process in which I'm kind of not involved, which is what I love. But sometimes it's hard to compartmentalize your judgment, I think, sometimes. You know, it's been a really interesting process of, it's never a fun thing to sit in an edit and look at your own freaking face.
Well, that is a whole other...
It's a horrible thing. And I genuinely, in the edit, I have to refer to me as her. Because I'm like, oh God, why is she walking like that? She looks so weird. She needs to, come on, sit up, posture.
I so understand that instinct. I would be the same.
It's you really have to and in the same way of sometimes I'll write something and then like in series 2, we wrote the whole ending in a lake, and I'm like, does she have to get in the lake? Because I knew that would be a miserable 2 days for me. And Alice is like, of course you have to. And I think that's...
Can we have her lying on the sofa declaring her
genuinely
love, eating chocolate?
Oh, if you read my scripts, I'm sitting down a lot. Because I know how annoying it is to have to stand up in scenes. So I'm like, Jessie is sitting down, having a little wee sit and a cup of tea. And that was a challenge, I think, to really, as a writer, then being in it, then being a producer on it, and then just to really separate those roles a bit, and also just being very tired doing all of that stuff. But that, again, there's a challenge I relish, because I love being involved in everything as a fellow control freak. Yeah. I think being able to, and then now moving into directing for the 3rd series with Alice, it's I'm terrified, but it's very exciting.
It's so exactly what you should be. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying that like I'm your godmother.
I was tearing up. I don't have
Rose,
a
I've always known this for you. You're meant to be behind the camera and in front. No, but I am. When I saw you were directing, I'm just so excited to see. I mean, I'm just... Starstruck's one of my favourite shows of the last couple of years, and I'm so excited to see what you do.
Me and a little director's cap.
Yeah, I hope you insist on a chair.
I will insist on a chair.
Those BBC comedy budgets famously overflowing for the director's chair.
I want to play a little clip of one of my favourite parts of your wonderful show. Let's play it and then let's discuss it, cool. Actually. Roll the clip. Now, gorgeous girls. Yeah, give it a clap. Please clap. Thanks. Now, I chose this clip because, I don't know, it represents to me an amazing kind of element of your show that I think you just nailed in such an authentic way. And I think I often get it talked about in Starstruck as well, about authentic female friendship portrayed on television. I think there is... I think there's been so many iterations of amazing female friendships that I was inspired by with the Stars, even Broad City or stuff like that, where you see, I think, very realistic and authentic kind of instances of women writing for women. Yes. And a clip like that is just I kind of just got little goosebumps when I see stuff like that, because it just felt like every night getting ready for going out that I've experienced with my own friends. And how hard was that, or how actually not how hard, how, I don't know, freeing was it to be able to be in control of writing that dynamic between four very, very close friends? Was it Was it fun? Did you, and also writing it by yourself, like, you know, was that you talking to yourself as 4 different people? Was that weird?
It was, I had that same thing that you had. I mean, I can't imagine it with you with the edit, that I had to. Maggie is obviously just a sort of essence version of me a million miles away, but, you know, but I had to just think about her as a complete... It's too existentially weird.
100%.
It's just not good for the soul, I think, to be sitting around talking about Dolly's character or Rose's character, whatever.
Completely.
But I'm so glad that you chose that clip, because something that I've always felt happy about is I am fine just talking to women. I don't mind that I don't really have a male audience. And, you know, it's nice when they come, but they don't
I love that.
normally...
It's nice when they join in.
It's
they
nice
can,
when
you know.
join in.
But you don't need
join
them.
in, fellas. They like to join in sometimes when their girlfriends drag them to literary events and make them watch my show. But I like the idea of that thing that you said, that like women talking to women. I like the idea, like a male friend of mine came to an event that I did once about everything I know about love, and he said it was like this book was written, it has an invisible ink on it that men can't read, that is like magic to other women. And that really meant a huge amount to me. And I like the semiotics of a night out, the semiotics of living together was so important for me. And China, our director, just got it so much. And she really was the storyteller for that side of things, of the home. And she knew that when there was a radiator, there should never be a pair of knickers not on it, gusset side up. That, you know, there should never be, that we wanted to capture like that feeling of women when they first move to a city together, of like the enmeshment of that, how disgusting girls can be together, how silly, how claustrophobic, how childlike, how cozy and romantic. And that's what we wanted in these. There's so much of them at home. 100%. Which is, I mean, so useful with shooting in a set, right? You know, I'm sure it's the same with yours. Get your money's worth, exactly. And I liked, you know, it was her idea, because I come from a reality TV background. I used to make structured reality. So the hangover that I have from that, which used to drive China fucking mental, is, I don't know if you've ever watched Made in Chelsea, Rose.
Oh, I have.
Okay. Have you noted that at the beginning of every party, it is 2 clinking glasses, and then it's someone laughing, someone gossiping, 2 people dancing, a girl putting lipstick on. So the way we established atmosphere in Made in Chelsea would be montages. Every event, it always started with montages. And China was like, what is these montages in these scripts?
You wrote them in?
And I would write these montages, and she was like, we're not in reality land anymore. They're too time consuming, it's too many setups, it's too, you know. So because that was originally meant to be a montage, and she was like, this is not, first of all, it's not very artistically interesting. And second of all, it's just not the best use of our time. So she had this idea that I was very nervous about, of doing a 1-camera setup, and then showing that thing of the best part of the night when you're a girl, which is getting ready and the anticipation of the night, and the girls coming in and out, and this, you know, this idea of them, like, you watching them building their womanhood, their adulthood together, and, you know, the small signifiers, the packets of not having dinner but having 10 packets of crisps, and the you know, the tape on the tits. And so we did it, and the girls loved it because the 4 of them are really serious actors. You know, Ali was still at RADA when we hired her. Marley's really serious actor. Belle's obviously done lots of Hollywood stuff. Emma's incredibly serious. So for them, they liked the challenge of it. We're like, we're going to shoot it like a play. So we put the song on, and then we just let them do their own thing. For an hour, we did take off to take, so and they were just buzzing, those girls at the end of it.
100%.
And
because TV is, that would be so much more fun than the montage, like of getting like cutaways. You know, it's for actors especially. It would be such a exciting experience to do that, and you can see it come through. And what I love about this friendship group as well, and I think something I noticed with more stuff made like about women and written actually by women and no longer written by men who have met one woman in their life, but is that, and I've noticed it's a reaction to my friendship with, you know, Kate's character in my show, who's my real life best friend, Emma, is that the authentic nature of female friendship sometimes, or friendship in general, is that you're total bitches to each other sometimes. Do you know what I mean? You're not always the supportive, sassy best friend character that you get in rom-coms. And the idea of like another character challenging you, and like it's actually like in our show, it's like we're actually quite mean to each other quite a lot of the time, which suggests like deep intimacy.
Of course, exactly.
And that intimacy of like these characters who get on each other's nerves and like living in the situation where it's like they're not always like, oh babe, like you look beautiful, like it's not always that. It's always sometimes like why have you not done the washing up? You know what I mean? And I love that element of it, and it feels so real. And
Well, thank you for choosing that clip. We are now going to show a clip which is my favourite clip from series 1 that I'm so excited for you guys to see again. It's such a treat.
I'm not going to look.
It's so brilliant. It's one of those things when I watched it, I don't know if you have this as a writer, where it's like I felt so sisterly and like she's nailed it, and I felt so angry I hadn't written it. I was like, so good. I'm so jealous how good that is. And I loved, there was something that I tried to do. There's like a sex montage at the end of Ep 4, and there's a bit where Amara's getting a walk of shame, is on the walk of shame, and she's on the clip at home, and in the stage directions it said she looks like a thotty James Bond. Because that's what I love, that you captured that feeling when you're a young, like, emancipated woman, and when like casual sex goes well, and you feel like you've hit your stride, you just feel like a rock star.
Yeah.
It's just
absolutely. I mean, I've done it at the Edinburgh Fringe. I walked down Nicholson Street like that. It was a funny thing with that though, because a lot of the reaction to that clip when it came out was that it was like, oh, it's a reframing of like the walk of shame, and the idea it never crossed my mind, which is such a great indication of where we're at in the world, in the sense of like, in what way would I be ashamed for having sex and walking home the next morning? Yeah, and it was. I was thinking though what you were saying about like writing it. It is a very confident thing as a writer in a script to be like, and then I I've had sex on a canal boat, and then I walk home and do a cool dance to Return of the Mac, and it's gonna be great. Yeah. It's a really hard thing to sell in a script.
Totally, I know what you mean.
But when we make it, it feels like a fun part of it. That was a fun one to shoot. I mean, in the middle of October, I had my period and a bad back, and that happened. And also, that was like there was only one take there. It was like miserable weather. It started bucketing down that afternoon. There was only one take with sunshine that we use when I'm walking this way and stuff. Yeah. Completely unchoreographed. That was all off the top.
Was it?
It was a bit freestyle. Yeah, it was freestyle.
I think
it was a freestyle. Yeah. I mean, thank you. Don't clap. Don't clap for that.
We must clap.
There was a person who I was interviewing to direct series 2 who did not end up directing it, who was like, when they were interviewing, they were like, that clip, that bit's so funny because you're so shit at dancing. And I was like, we're done here. Yeah, okay, great. We are done here. Which was brutal, but
I think it is fabulous dancing. A question that I have, which is, I've got so many technical questions about how you did that sequence. Yeah. And something that I definitely wasn't aware of when I started making TV is essays, so supporting background artists, formerly known as extras. I didn't realise, I would have stuff in the script like, Maggie gives a knowing wink to a woman on a train, and she laughs and gives a wink back, and my director would be like, essays don't do that. Yeah. And I was like, yes, they can. I didn't get, and I also wanted my friend's gran to have a part, Rob Rayner's mum had a part. And China was just like, if you need a person to deliver anything, any look, and you have to cast them. You don't understand. So I wanted to know what it was like with all those essays, because that you're relying on them to do the right thing for a comedy reaction.
100%. I mean, I feel like I've got to know the world of essays. Essays are a wonderful a bunch of people. It depends on what the scene is as well, because like in the second series, we had a party scene. There was a lot of younger essays, and I was honestly like a head girl, because they'd sometimes be like murmuring. I'm like, a little bit of quiet, and it's like, that's not my job. Like, it totally is my job, but because they're all young and really bored, and but these guys were just these like old fellas, just on the canal one day, no idea what they were at, and there's this woman dancing down the canal in between them. I'm not blowing my own trumpet. They were bloody loving it. They were bloody loving it. They were, after we'd wrapped, they were like, well done. That was so much fun. But you can see it. It was actually quite sweet, because we didn't ask them to really, we asked them to react.
Yeah.
But genuinely, I think like every time I passed them dancing more, they'd enjoy themselves even more because they were just sitting at a table drinking orange juice, watching a mad woman dance by them, interacting with them and stuff.
But
it was very lucky.
It works so well with the Flight of Fancy because it looks like they're so happy for you that you got laid.
Yeah.
They look like so tickled pink by it.
But actually, I don't think we ever told them the context as to
really?
why I was dancing. So some of them may have watched the show and gone, oh my God, that's what we were involved in. It was, because obviously like we cast Jack Barry, who's the guy on the canal, but like that's something that you can't, it's obviously got lines and you can't just randomly do. But then I don't know if you as much of a control freak in the sense that I like approve essays.
Yes.
Yeah, like
with China, with my director.
Yeah. So I'll or like if we need one line or like a wink or a moment like that.
Oh, definitely you need.
Yeah. Well, I'll have some sort of spreadsheet list and go, they seem like they're good, wink.
Yeah, and the problem is as well, with the control freak thing, I would love to know if you have this. There were a few moments because of all the different hats, and also because I do other stuff like write a column and write books. Which need to be promoted and whatever. There were some moments when my exec would say, you've got to drop the ball on this, like let someone else.
Yeah.
It's like, this is why we've hired all these amazing people.
Totally.
And I would have to like not approve the headlines on a newspaper, on a prop or whatever. And then what would drive me mad is on the few times when I didn't do that, I would then watch the rushes and I would be like, they got that wrong.
They got that wrong.
And
Are you very sensitive to fonts? Because I'm very sensitive to fonts.
This is honestly the beginning of the most beautiful friendship.
I know. I mean, like emails till like 2 a.m. with like art department, like wonderful art department being like, let's get another font on that. Like, I mean, I drew the font for our show because
you?
Yeah. Because that's how much of a cool, chilled person I am.
No, I know. But a part of me is like, moving forward, it will just make my life much easier if I can just do that. But the feeling of frustration that I get isn't worth. I would prefer to be up till 4 a.m. Rather than that feeling of kicking myself.
I feel calm and collected when I'm on every email thread possible. I read a call sheet from top to bottom. I know like the caterings guy's number. Like I genuinely, and I love it. Like it's very nerdy. Okay. Oh, sorry, because I'm just checking the time, and because we are going to be having questions from the audience. I don't know if everyone's an understanding of how we send them in, but I think it's a QR code on the back of your pass. I'm pretty sure. Is that how you put it? Yes, that's how you. If you want to ask any questions, so I think you need to scan a QR code on the back of your pass, put in your hotel room number. Someone will come later on in the evening and congratulate you for their question. No, I think if anyone has questions, that's how you submit them. So have at it.
I feel so excited now seeing this is the Starstruck titles font.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, and also the credit font is my handwriting as well.
Really?
Yeah, so that's a font that's, out there.
So that's Rose's handwriting on there, so I'm like, wow, I'm in the presence of greatness. The great font. Before we move on to questions, I wanted to know whether this process so far, these two series, how it makes you feel about the future of making Starstruck, and also what you learned about yourself in the process, Rose.
Oh, goodness, nothing good. So, yes, what did I learn about myself in the process of making this? I think, I don't know. Oh God, I hate self-reflection when it's not, monetized for stand-up gain. I don't want to do that.
Pretend I'm your therapist.
Yeah, I don't have a therapist. What are you talking about?
Pretend that you're paying me to reflect on these things.
Oh God. No, I don't know. I think in making the show, I think it's. I don't know. It showed me what I enjoyed doing. I think it's hard. I think you spend a lot of your 20s potentially going like, what am I going to do with my life? I mean, I was already doing stand-up at the time, but I think it did give me the confidence to go, oh, the thing I want to do is write for TV, write for film, and direct and stuff, and it gave me the confidence to do that. It taught me that I really love lighting. Like I'm the most interested, I am always interested in what the gaffer is doing on set. It showed me that like, I had, it's
It is beautifully lit, your show. I'm just thinking about that scene of you in that gorgeous strapless dress. There is some lovely golden light on you.
Oh, I'm a real Barbara Streisand when it comes to lighting. I really got, and Will Hankey, our DP, I've struck up a very strong friendship with. He teaches me all about all of that stuff. And
that's brilliant.
Yeah. He's been amazing. And I don't know, I think maybe it's sort of like, I think you might relate, and it's accepting the great parts about being that sort of head girl, control freak kind of girl in your teens and 20s, and actually using those skills on something like a television show. I think I've learned a lot about collaboration as well, and that sense that, you know, as much as like, you know, when you come from a background of working alone, I think the benefit of making a television show is being able to work with people who are the best in their fields of what they're doing, and being able to work as a team. And I think we're both in the kind of quite like leadership roles on set and in these shows. And I think that's the massive thing I've learned, is that there's no point in like going, I have this one vision and everyone has to, you know, listen to me. It's honestly always about sort of negotiating, I don't know, like a team, like, you know, it's working as a team is something I've learned to do better, and to enjoy that element of it, I think, and not be a little, you know, throw too many strops, but, you know, throw a couple strops in the mix, you know, it's fun. Yeah. It's fun, sure.
That's exactly, I have the same with, I think I used to think that a director was like a visual translator for a script. Yeah. And it was only when I started properly understanding collaboration that I understood that like everyone on set is a storyteller. Like the costumes are storyteller, the makeup people are a storyteller, lighting storyteller. Everyone there is there to tell the story. And it's like the story is this baton that the writer only does a tiny weeny little thing. Totally, and then you hand it over, and you've got to hand it over. Yeah. And then because they're able to tell a story in a way that your little brain can't even fathom. And that is a wonderful thing to learn how to do, I think.
Completely. And you're there to like, it's all about tone. It's like, I think a director and a writer, like it's about managing the tone of something, getting everyone on board with something, and it's so much about communication, isn't it? Of just like I think sometimes when you work at television, you can work with people who are like, no one understands my vision, and it's like, well, you can't understand someone's vision if you can't communicate it and be respectful of people and stuff. So I don't know. I just learned to be respectful finally in 2022.
But I also had this thing of like the thing that I learned that made me really happy is I always thought I was a massive people pleaser and kind of spineless. Yeah. And then I learnt on the show that I'm not.
I feel the same though. But I feel like, do you think there's a duality to that? Because I do think that people pleasers can be, I don't know, I think they're two, I don't know, sides of the same coin. I'm not sure. I'm such a people pleaser. Yeah. But then also sometimes I get like very, very direct.
Yes,
like, you know.
But I didn't know I had that in me.
Really?
No, and it was amazing. It's Surya, my exec, says to me often when I'm like, when I'm a people pleaser, and everyone just like, oh, do whatever you like, and please run over me with your van. And she was like, you're not like that. She was like, there were real moments in production where you had to like tell everyone how it was going to be, and you really like had your boundaries and whatever. And I learned, and that was, I'm so relieved to know that I have that in me. That do you know what it was? It's because I don't care about anything else more than my career. Yeah. And I just, when push comes to shove, with other shit, I can like, you know, I can make myself smaller, or I can appease people, I accommodate people. But when it came to that, nothing is more important than that. So I will not negotiate on that. And I'm just so relieved that I know I have that in me, that the art was more important than everyone being my best friend. Although that being said, occasionally I would like be upset about something or worried about something or feel like something's not going my way, and I'd go in and like talk to the people I work with, and then afterwards I'd like speak to my friends and be like, oh, wow, heads rolled today. You're not going to believe the fucking shit I said to everyone. They were properly scared when I had to lay down the law. And the next day I'll like ring Siri and I'll be like, sorry, it got a little bit spicy back there. Like, had to read, and Siri would be like, you were fine. and actually it was me being like, no worries if not.
But you know what? It's an interesting thing is that like I think my general nature is to be a people pleaser, and like, you know, but I think it's like also when you are a sort of, I guess, ambitious person, you have something you want, you can use it in a very conniving way.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's actually easier to people please something into what you want.
Yes,
Like, it's actually, it's a way easier trick than yelling. That's what I find. I think there's so many people who would just like, their reaction to it would be like yelling to get what they want. But really, what you got to do is be sneaky.
Yeah.
And people please your way into the thing. You know what I mean?
No, it's diplomacy.
It's manipulation.
Diplomacy.
Sorry, it's diplomacy. It's diplomacy.
It's lying.
It's
and
lying.
Saying
It's lying.
you are happy with something and doing something else.
Well, it's so much easier to like, but like, it's so much easier to get what, I mean, I find it's easier to get what you want when you kind of, almost like hypnotizing someone with a smile, you know what I mean? Like, rather than like, I'm so bad at confrontation. I'm really bad at confrontation. I would hate that. But I think, I don't know, I can't believe I just outed myself as a master manipulator.
She's a psycho.
You know.
Okay.
She's a psycho. She's a psycho. Oh, we've got Q&A. Oh, shoot. We've got so many questions and not enough time. Okay. Oh, I think that's a great question. How important is the music in your shows? Dolly.
Like hugely important.
Amazing amount of music in your show.
Yeah, hugely important. As I said, we worked with this guy who was amazing. He would make these kind of playlists for us of like, this is the music we can't afford. Here's something in the same tonal bracket. But I don't know about you. Like every scene basically begins with me for a song. I normally have a song playing.
Same.
Do you do the same?
Yes, I always have like little soundtracks and stuff. Even for my Edinburgh shows, I would always have like a Spotify playlist and stuff.
Oh, really?
But our show, we don't have any commercial music really because
I'm desperate to talk to you about score because something that we share is we both love old musicals, we both love old rom-coms, and there was something, the minute I first watched Starstruck, the sense of luxury that I had and the sense that I do when I'm watching all my favourite old movies, the sense of like refinement and coziness and intimacy and luxury and...
I love luxury,
this is great. It felt luxurious. There was something about the jazz of it that felt just refined and I just... Tell me about why you decided, was that a callback to those kind of films?
Totally, yeah. I think also because it was a sound that matched the look of it as well. We shot it in like on vintage lenses, like on anamorphic. Like we shot it in a cinematic way. We've lit it in a cinematic way, and it would be quite strange, I think, to have a score that didn't match that energy to it. With our composer, we sent like a ton of references, which were like literally, you know, When Harry Met Sally's score and. The way he managed to make that with, you know, not a full, you know, orchestra, like a massive budget, it was amazing. I think it really, I don't know, I think commercial music is incredible when you can afford, you know, commercial tracks and stuff, but it was a creative limitation or a budgetary limitation that actually worked in our favor in the sense that there is a, you know, it's a consistency to the score and there's like kind of like motifs in the score that come back, and I think I absolutely love it, and
I think it was. I think it would have made it. I'm so glad that you didn't have that budget because I just felt like there was something unique about that score that felt cinematic, and also like the crux of the fucking thing. It was so romantic.
Yeah, it's very romantic.
It's so romantic listening to that music, and it just like it gives you permission, even though it's a comedy and it's self-aware and it's cynical. There's something about that music that signifies to the viewer of like, there's permission here. You are allowed to just soften into this.
Well, because I think on paper though as well, like sometimes a show like this could have been like pitched more as like a. It's like a sassy girl living her life and all this stuff. And I do think that when we were first making the show, the tone that we were setting, and like Karen Main, who was the director of the first series, and myself, was sometimes differed to what commissioners thought it was going to be based on what my persona was in stand-up, which was, you know, it was definitely a shift. And I think once we got all on the same page of what the tone was, which was, you know, a bit more old school, a bit more romantic, and a bit more like cinematic, I think it was great, but it took a while to get there, and the score definitely helped in selling that, I think. I'm aware that we've only answered one question out of these many questions. What about, this is that's a nice one.
I hate that one.
Yeah, what, 8 more minutes for Q&A? Okay.
No, let's do that one. Do you want to do that one?
No, this one's good.
Okay.
Dolly?
Okay, yeah.
Dolly. I'll ask this from the perspective of me, as if I'm asking
Thank you.
Dolly, you and Jack Rook both set your shows in 2011 and 2012 and got the aesthetic of the time so right. Did you swap notes at any point of the process? Do you know Jack?
I do know Jack. No, we actually didn't.
Yeah.
But he's so talented, and I'm so happy that show's coming back. They've just announced there's another series, which is just so deserved. I've not met anyone who didn't fall in love with that world and those characters. I actually saw a girl, because the show Everything About Love comes out in America today, and I saw, thank you, I saw a girl from, an American viewer had done this tweet that made me, I'm just back to doing that thing now, it's out in America, of like searching the show's name and clicking refresh every 2 minutes.
Of course, you're only human.
I'm amazed I haven't done it on stage. And she said what they did right with that show is that she's a Gen Z person. She said what they did right with that show is it was a millennial recapturing her own youth rather than trying to imagine how Gen Z people.
100%.
And I think that, and when she said that, I thought, God, I'm so glad a Gen Z person is saying that.
Completely.
I'm so glad I didn't go the other way.
I loved that element of it as well when I watched it, because it was like it wasn't a period piece, but it was like so authentically like the little references were like.
Yeah.
I mean, it made me feel very old.
Yeah.
That's what it made me. But it was so like just even like the phones that you have. Like
Yes,
I'm like
that was so
okay,
fun
they're
of that show.
they're the right generation of iPhone. You know what I mean? Or like I loved that about
I loved all that, all the prop, and they were really sort of historical about it. I had a specific question for you.
Oh.
Rose, where did the inspiration for the Jessie and Kate friendship come from? Because it's one of the best elements of the entire series. Or for Kate as a character, she's fucking brilliant. I totally agree, and I have to say, I was asked in an interview recently, you know how when you become like an accidental expert in something that you never, mine is female friendship.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm always asked about female friendship. Every interview.
It's the same person that comes to every interview asking it in that voice. Female friendship.
Female friendship. And they said, what is a depiction of female friendship? And I always say the same thing, and I've run out of stuff. And then I was like,
oh, those two bitches from Starstruck.
Starstruck. It's so realistic to me, that friendship and the house, you know, the domesticity of the two of them. I love them. Anyway, sorry, yes, to answer this question.
The inspiration is Emma City, because, I mean, she is my best friend. She, when I moved to England, I met her at a gig. She was eating a pizza. We talked about Desperate Housewives, like Real Housewives, and we became best friends from then on. She's like the funniest person I know. Like, and it's such a joy to be able to be in the position to cast a show. But then, I mean, I know it's annoying, but it's like, being able to cast your best friend, you know, as an actor, as a comedian, is completely capable of doing this, and also riding towards someone's strengths in that sense. She is, I mean, we draw upon. It's a different version of us, but it's not so different. Like we've lived together. We've only recently just separated, which has been hard. The other day we realized we were like, it was so sad. We were like, we were catching up and I was saying, I was watching, God, what was I watching the other day? Oh, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. She was like, I was watching Gentlemen.
I watched Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Because it was on BBC.
Yes,
it was on TV.
Yeah.
And we nearly burst into tears because we were like watching it in our different houses when usually we'd watch it together. And it's like, because it's so easy to be able to have that chemistry and that relationship on set when you're actual.
Was that a lot to go from set to home, or was that just divine? Because
it was intense.
Yeah.
Because Al Roberts, who was Emma's fiance, who plays Ian in the show,
right?
I also live with. So there were days in which we literally would walk home, and also like the Greasy Spoon Cafe was at the end of our road. So there was a day in which we wrapped, and then all three of us were like, bye, and we like walked down the road 2 minutes to our home, and they all kind of like, how was your day? It was
so weird.
It was really weird. It was and also was in lockdown as well. So we'd just gone through a winter lockdown, then into shooting a show together, all kind of but it was nice, and it was it was very convenient. We all could share a car home.
Yeah.
Which production loved.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good. And I was very blessed to have her. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
And how
Cast her in
amazing.
some things.
That's so amazing as well, that like you kind of got this monument of your friendship that you get to keep.
God, I know. I hope we don't have a falling out.
Yeah.
God, that'd be terrible.
Yeah, that would.
We might.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Shit. Yeah. I better keep her as a friend. No, she's lovely.
Do we have time for any more?
Hang on.
I like that one because I'm going to strong arm you for saying it on stage.
Great chat. Could you see yourselves working together? And if so, what project would you love to collaborate on? Reality television?
Yes.
That could be fun.
Yes. No, I'd never work in reality TV.
Really?
Again.
Never again?
No.
There's a few groans in the audience. No, come
Oh,
back.
sorry.
Come back to reality television, Dolly. That'd be lovely.
Do you
But
watch
you don't have time. I don't have time. What the hell? You've got to
Make
you're
a TV
writing.
show with me, Rose. They
my
all
God.
want it. Why won't you make one with me?
I will.
So that's agreed. Everyone's
No.
Yes, it's
I don't
agreed.
know. I obviously no. Cast me. I don't want to write any. I'm too lazy. If you write something, I'll be in it. For
Oh,
God's
that's
sake.
a good idea. No, do
I'll
you
be
know
an
what?
essay.
I would.
And I will wink
One of
very
those-
convincingly.
One of those troublesome essays.
Mm.
Yeah, I would. I tell you what, I would love to do. I would love to do a remake in a dream world where you and I have a million
Yes.
years free.
Go on.
I would love to do a remake of like a Billy Wilder film. with
Oh my
you.
God, yeah.
I'd love to like remake
That'd be
The
fun.
Apartment in you know.
No. Oh, I'd love to remake Apartment, but
Yeah.
I don't want to play Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, but that's maybe what we do. Maybe look what you did with your show with that gender reversal of.
This is true.
It worked so well.
This is true. Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah. Do you know what I really want to do? I probably shouldn't say this in a room of TV people.
Do
because
it.
Someone's just going to steal this idea.
can whisper.
For a long time, I've always really wanted to do a gender reversal of Pretty Woman.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like there's a story to be told there about 30-something women who have prioritised their career
Yeah.
and who find themselves, they've like neglected their romantic or sexual life and what it would be like to be a woman paying for that. I would just
That's
love to see
great.
what that power dynamic's like.
Dolly, you just pitched it to the crowd. Jesus.
Just pitched it to the TV festival.
Dolly, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you.
I've loved talking to you.
No, it's been wonderful, and all the best. I mean, I'm very excited for the next series. And are you excited to write it?
It's not being confirmed. It's not
Really?
allowed to talk about it.
Oh,
so
okay, cool.
it's, no,
Well, I'm really excited.
No, it's not being confirmed, and I want to make that very clear. And it's what I can say is I'm very excited about a potential future for the show.
Great.
There we go. Was that all right for my PR?
That was so diplomatic.
But I am so excited to see Series 3. I cannot wait to see your work
be
as
excited.
No, I am. I cannot wait to see your work as a director. I look forward to seeing all the beautiful romantic comedies that you're going to make and star in the future. And I look forward to being the unveiling of your Hollywood star one day.
Oh my God, yeah, we can have those really awkward photos, you know? That really weird photo shoot where I'm just like that.
Yeah, can't wait.
Thank you guys for coming as well. I hope you got something out of it and enjoy the rest of the festival. Go home.
Bye.
We're just going to sit here.